Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs and me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham for what was meant to just be a brief breakdown of what happened against Manchester United and that ridiculous 3-0 loss with no kind of fight whatsoever other than probably from Lucas Moura. Instead, we're going to be talking about the fact that Nuno Espirito Santo has been sacked as Spurs manager in what is a very, very short reign indeed. So we'll mostly talk about that. I'll include a little bit about the Man United game, and then we'll talk about the possibility of us getting Antonio Conte, a guy that we chased in the summer and couldn't get over the line. So, welcome to the channel, guys. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and make sure you get your comments in there as well. So let's just talk about Nuno, okay? This is a manager that was a seventh choice. At least seventh. A guy that wasn't really on the radar, and that's mainly because Daniel Levy decided that he wanted us to go back to what is a more Tottenham brand of football, more attacking, free-flowing, what we like to see and what we've seen over the years. So yeah, we went through the list of managers. Nobody seemed to be really interested in any sort. Worked for a long list, had talks with people. Then he manages to get Paratici in. So Paratici comes in as a director of football. And this is somebody that Daniel Levy has chased for quite a while. Very experienced, manages to get decent players through the door at Juventus over the years. Has lots and lots of connections, experiences of winning. However, prefers a foundation of football built on defence first over attack, which is why we ended up with Nuno, okay? Nuno has been known to be a very adaptive manager and change his styles based on the needs of the football club, but maintaining a solid defensive base. Now at Spurs, it just didn't seem to work, and I think there are a few reasons for that. He was more inexperienced than some of the managers we've had, which makes it harder for him to get the full respect of the bigger name players in the dressing room. Apparently he was fairly quiet. We've heard that from many people around the club, including Tanguy and Ndombele, say there's a much quieter way of dealing with things. Probably isn't good in the one-on-one situations with players because he's a bit shyer. His ability to hold a press conference, I think, was terrible. Doesn't like to give really any information away, and I feel like you get the gist that he doesn't like press conferences whatsoever. I think he's quite a private man, is probably the best way to put it, which doesn't benefit a club like us, where we want to know answers to things. We want players dug out like Mourinho did. Pochettino I actually thought was very good with the press. That's what I liked about him. He would say little things but not say too much, whereas Jose sometimes would say too much. So there was a balance there. We essentially bought ourselves in a pocket Mourinho, a less experienced version, but kind of on the same mould, but without the fiery personality. At the end of the day, he was just a quiet version. So, you know, people have come out and spoken. Boring Tottenham, says Roy Keane. A disgrace, says Jamie O'Hara. More time, says Jamie Redknapp. He actually believed that it was a bit unfair and we should be giving Nuno more time. He's not been in charge long enough. He's had one transfer window. And it wasn't even a full transfer window in the end because he didn't come in as manager straight away. So probably hasn't had the ability to put his stamp on a team. And yes, that's fair. However, the brand of football has just not been good enough in my opinion. So sorry, Jamie, but I disagree. So the 3-0 poor display against Manchester United has left us looking for our fourth permanent manager in the last 3 years. That's less than 5 months in charge for Nuno, only 17 games managed. But apparently Antonio Conte has been offered the job. He supposedly is in London today for talks on what would be an 18-month deal. He's come to London for face-to-face talks. Which is strange because the talks for him broke down in the summer, but it's understood that these talks are now in the final stages. We'll get into that in a bit, but look, we're currently sitting 8th in the table. We are now 10 points off leaders Chelsea. So leading into the weekend, we weren't too many points off being able to hit the top 4, but based on the situation, the gap is starting to widen, and that's what we can't afford whatsoever. So I'd rather we take action now than leave it too long until January, where maybe we're too far off the pace for top 4. I mean, right now, you know, we're still very much in the hunt for top 4. We were never going to win the league this season anyway, but we just don't want those teams moving too far away and leaving us behind. Nuno, when he came in, he signed a 2-year deal. That was in June. Now, the idea of the 2-year deal was probably to coincide with the fact that was when Pochettino's contract was due to run out, so we could reassess the situation then. If Nuno had taken us to new heights, keep him on. If he hasn't, see if Pochettino wants to come back. We have had an official statement from the club, which I'm sure you've all heard many times already today if you've been on your phones, but I will read it anyway. So the club can today announce that Nuno Espirito Santo and his coaching staff of Ian Cathro, Rui Barbosa and Antonio Diaz have been relieved of their duties. A further coaching update will follow in due course. So we play Vitesse on Thursday. Now, hopefully we can get the Conte deal wrapped up before then. If not, it's going to be a caretaker manager of some point. Ryan Mason is still at the club, so it could be him that goes back in charge, which means his mates like Harry Winks, etc. will get some more game time. Look, Paratici is the one that wanted Nuno in the first place, and he's come out and said, I know how much Nuno and his coaching staff wanted to succeed, and I regret that we have had to take this decision. Nuno is a true gentleman and will always be welcome here. We should like to thank him and his coaching staff and wish them well for the future. So that's just the normal jargon that you get when a manager's gone, he'll always be welcome here. I mean, the guy was here 4 and a bit months. What do you mean he'll always be welcome here? All right. Look, I don't think it's just playing on the pitch and things that have affected this. Other things will come into it financially with the fact that, the fans, they were doing their bit of booing. Loads of fans left the stadium earlier. When we win, fans tend to stay in the ground for a bit, have drinks. If they're leaving the stadium earlier, they're going elsewhere. We are not picking up the revenue of those drinks. So it hurts us financially. And this has been a costly mistake for Spurs. It's cost us 14 million essentially to get rid of him, because we got rid of him before the end of the season when we had the agreement after the first year. If we don't finish in the top 6, we can get rid of him for free. But let's briefly talk about the Manchester United game. So we lose 3-0. We have no fight. Fans booed Nuno's decision to replace Mora with Bergwijn, which was a ridiculous decision. Like, a lot of the time we criticise Nuno for getting substitutions wrong or doing it too late in a game. He did this one about the right time, just the wrong play. He took off the only guy that was trying to make things happen in this game. And I know his quality's not always the best, but he had fire in his belly and he's kind of taken on the Lamella role now, right? And then decides to take him off. The fans were chanting, "We want Levy out." Not a surprise there whatsoever. They even booed Golden Boy Harry Kane, who this season has been woeful. You want him to step up and get big games. He hasn't. And traditionally he doesn't anyway. You've just got to look at cup finals, semi-finals. Do you know what I mean? Why start Ben Davies over Reguilon in a game where we needed to attack? Man United defensively have been there for the taking. Yes, they changed their formation for this game, which gave them more of an attacking threat. I wish they didn't do it against us. And I said there would be a response, and there was. And I think most of us knew it was a very dangerous time to play Manchester United. Big players really underperformed so far this season for them. They pulled out all the stops. Cavani and Ronaldo finally got to play together in a full game capacity, and I don't care that they're both 36. They are incredible footballers. Cavani's movement is second to none. One of the best movers I have seen on the pitch for creating space for himself. He knows when to run, he knows when to pause, he knows when to halt. So intelligent, and we got punished. So great decisions for Ollie, poor decisions for us, because Reguilon could have given them something else to think about. Instead, we played Ben Davies there, and look, no criticism or disrespect to Ben Davies, but in an attacking sense, he's not quick enough. He doesn't have the execution on his crosses, doesn't cause enough problems. He's basically a left back or a left centre back, not an attacker. All right. And for the goal as well. I mean, Ronaldo's goal, yes, it was world class. Ben Davies, I'm laying him at fault for that. That ball is floated over and he completely misjudges the header. He's not tight enough on Ronaldo for a start, because Ronaldo still manages to get a very good strike on the ball, which means he still sees the ball coming over. He's got his eyes on the ball the whole way, and it was a quality strike, absolutely quality strike, not taking that away from him. However, he should not have had the opportunity to take the strike in the first place. Poor defending from Ben Davies. What else? No real desire or urgency from anyone, as I've said, other than Lucas Moura. No shots on goal all game. I mean, there was a great chance for Sonny, and from close range, I don't even know what he was doing. Absolutely levered it, managed to make it go over from such a short distance. Absolutely terrible. Don't understand it whatsoever. But, you know, we had more possession. We controlled the game again, but in the wrong areas, like we did against West Ham. We controlled it in deep midfield, which is no good. You are not going to score goals in and around the halfway line. Jesus, do you know what I mean? Players booed at half-time. Full-time, the few fans that remained in the stadium booed again. A decision to sack him is based on performances, not results, okay? So yes, the results haven't been good enough. However, you can take those if we can see identity and progression in a playing style, because we're not in a terrible position, it's a recoverable position. But the performances themselves have not been good enough. The players' attitudes have not been good enough. The tactics have been negative. Boring football. Not impressive to watch. Even the results that we have got, some of them we didn't deserve. We've been winning by very narrow margins. Been winning by a goal in most of the games where we've picked up a victory. We seem incapable of drawing. We either win or we lose. But you don't know which Tottenham you're going to get on the day. We just know that they don't really seem to have a vision and don't know where they're going. And this is part of the criticism that Ollie had at Manchester United. You know, we go into this game and it's called El Sacco, and Ollie's come out on top. But this is what they were complaining about with him. The players don't seem to know what they're doing. They go out there, they don't execute anything. It's just kind of playing the game, going through the motions and left to their own devices. Now, is it that the players aren't respecting Nuno? Apparently a lot of them weren't impressed with his training methods and things like that. So that's got to be taken into account. As Harry Winks come out and said, a lot of these guys that are getting barely any game time other than in the Europa Conference League, they're going weeks without a game and having to come in and expected to do something. So maybe a little bit more rotation every now and again could have helped some of the players to gain more consistency. I don't know. There's just so many things to look at that are wrong in this situation. And is it really fair? Nuno's coming to a club with the whole Harry Kane situation, a brand new way of looking at things on the back of a pandemic. So yeah, maybe it is a bit unfair and harsh on him, but unfortunately football is a results business and we need to move on, we need to progress, we can't allow it to get out of control. The club had grown to a point where we're no longer a project. You know, Pochettino took us onto the new heights, regular Champions League football, a Champions League final, cup finals, cup semi-finals, you know, second place finishes within the league. The possibility of winning the league had Leicester not had it that year. So an undefeated season at White Hart Lane. The club had gone to a certain level and then begun to drop. So we can't take too much time before we push on to get back to that level. So Nuno had to go regardless of the fact that it's not really his fault. He's come into a bit of a toxic situation, a hard time, and there's going to be casualties in these sort of situations, but it's a cutthroat business and it had to be the way it was, unfortunately. So let's talk about the man that they're looking to replace him. Antonio Conte, a guy that we contacted during the summer, was pretty much our main target. It fell apart over small things such as, well, I say small things. There's small details that are big things to Conte. He wanted more of his own team in there. They would only permit him, was it 2 or 3? But he wanted his full team. We said no. There probably would have been hesitations about the size of the budget for transfers. And sort of like our structure and the players that we got. There's a lot of dead woods that were there under Poch, then under Mourinho, and still not moved them on. So Conte would have assessed the squad fully. It all fell apart. Now we're back in for him. And I'm assuming it's going to be easier to do it because a lot of the things that they spoke about before will be in place, ready to go. The only tweaks they need to make is allowing him to have more members of staff, allowing him to have more freedom within the transfer window. He's probably going to want a decent chunk of control alongside Paratici. They're going to have to be on the same wavelength. Just a few little things. I think it'll be quicker to iron out than getting a different manager in right now because they already would have had things in place that were agreed previously. But let's just look at Conte. So he left Inter by mutual consent in May after leading them to their first title in 11 years. Now, one thing you need to know about Conte is that he's a serial winner. A lot of the time he wants success from the off and he gets it. However, Tottenham are in a different position to a lot of the clubs that he's had in the past. He fell out with the owners at Inter in the end after they proposed a downsizing of the squad to the point where they wanted to cut 15 to 20% off the wage bill. Conte was like, absolutely not. We've just won the league. we can't afford to be making cuts, losing big players. I mean, that's exactly what happened anyway. But yeah, he left by mutual consent. He joined them from Chelsea after he was sacked there. And at the time, he was one of only 4 managers to win the Premier League title in his first season in English football. He won the FA Cup in his second season, but they finished 5th outside the top 4, and he was eventually sacked. He has a record of 51 wins from 76 games in the Premier League, and that is the second highest win rate of all the coaches who have taken charge of at least 50 games in the Premier League, trailing only Pep Guardiola, who is currently manager at Manchester City. Look, in this situation, Conte holds all the cards. We currently have no manager. We are 10 games into the season. We are sitting in 8th. If we continue without a manager, I have no doubt that gap is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We're going to head into a January transfer window in a position in the league where players will look at us and go, realistically, can they finish in the top 4? No. Are they going to get a Europa League spot? At a push. Are they going to end up in the Europa Conference League again? Probably. Are players going to want to sign for us in that situation? No. So it's best to get it over the line now. So whatever he wants, I plead with you, give it to him. Get him in this club. Get us a elite level manager. Yes, it's going to take him time. This is a guy that wants instant success. He isn't going to get it at Spurs because there's a lot of players that need to go out the door. A lot of players need to come in. A lot of things need to change in terms of mentality. But yeah, most of the deal, as I said, should be fairly straightforward through stuff they spoke about in the summer. But I plead, give him what he wants, get him in the door. Otherwise, we're looking at another unsuccessful season. Harry Kane will definitely go. And in my personal opinion now, Harry Kane should have just gone. There's something clearly not right. And I don't think it's just Spurs. I think it's England as well. He's taken a lot of beating recently. He just can't seem to get over the line with anyone. England was his best chance. A nice distraction. A win of the Euros would have been fantastic. Like, England played fairly well to get to the final. He built into the tournament as the games went on, and we couldn't get over the line. So, he's had a Champions League final that we've lost, cup finals, close in the league, missing out on Champions League football, then not winning the Euros, changes of managers constantly. I think, looking at the way he's playing now, he should have gone. However, if we get Conte in, he's probably the best guy to turn things around. He helped turn Lukaku's career around. And I mean, look what happened to that guy. He's an absolute beast now. It was something that was always there with him and helped unleash Lukaku to a new level. Kane's already been at that top level. We just need him to get back there. But I think under a manager like Conte, I think a lot of the squad will have a different attitude because he'll automatically have that respect when he walks in as an elite manager. He's not in the same ilk as Mourinho in the way that he treats the players publicly. Conte's a very passionate manager. Was a very good player. I think it's the right move now. It's a desperation move, but it's the right move. We can't get Pochettino right now. Graham Potter, who I keep saying was my first choice in the summer, he's not going to leave Brighton now. They're in a better position than we are in the league. They're scoring goals. They're playing well. He's still in the middle of a project. And I think come the end of the season, if they finish in a good place, Potter could go anywhere. I think he's that good a manager / coach right now. He could go anywhere. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. No doubt, if the Conte deal is going to be done, it will be released tonight or tomorrow. I think that's when they want to get it in. Otherwise, they'll have to start looking at other people, and then we'll have this little merry-go-round of me talking about managers we're linked with constantly. One that we are being linked with already as a plan B is the current manager of Porto, but I will do another video on that if I get a chance. I might even do it tonight, do a little bit of research properly to give you some info on what happened with his career before Porto, because a lot of people won't know much about him, myself included. Not somebody that I would look at, wasn't someone we were linked with in the summer. So yeah, I'll do that research for you and I'll come out with that for you maybe tonight or tomorrow. But I'm hoping the Conte deal will be sorted by then. He'll have a couple of days to work with the players before that game against Vitesse on Thursday, and then we are back in the Premier League with a visit to Everton. So thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Stay safe, and until tomorrow, guys, in the Tottenham Hotspur cycle, come on, you Spurs.